In the previous video of The Last of Us, we saw Joel falling from the horse not knowing if he'll turn into a zombie or was it something else. In today's video we'll experience the past watching how Ellie was born and her mother turned into a zombie just after giving birth to Ellie. But before we get started, make sure to subscribe to our channel so that you don't miss any of our latest videos. The scene starts with a blood trail leading us directly into an abandoned house. Joel is in a bad mood, but he persuades Ellie to leave. Ellie, on the other hand, covers him up with a coat and heads upstairs to get some supplies. We then go back in time to learn about Ellie's past. She's working out with her Walkman, but when a girl named Bethany takes it off her head, the two fight. Captain Quang observes and challenges Ellie's actions, conceding that she has numerous options for the future. She may either become a delinquent or become an officer and utilize her authority constructively. We're the only thing holding this zone together, he admits, before admitting Ellie has leadership potential. Riley, Ellie's buddy, slips in through the window in the middle of the night and confronts her. Ellie has been missing for 3 weeks and is displeased with her absence. Riley explains that she ran away, and Ellie is surprised that Riley has turned into a firefly. She invites Ellie out and promises her the finest couple of hours of her life. Ellie sighs loudly before getting dressed and slipping out. Ellie and Riley end up discovering booze while evading Fedra guards and drinking together. Riley also discusses her initiation narrative for joining the Fireflies, which includes how the guards are fascists and how her contempt for them persuaded Marlene and the other Fireflies that she should join their cause. The two ultimately wind up in the old deserted mall. Ellie is skeptical, believing that the area is teeming with infected. Riley, on the other hand, points out that this is not the case and that the area isn't actually blocked off anyhow. Ellie follows Riley's lead into the mall, where she turns on all the lights. The two had a fantastic time taking photographs in the booth, riding the carousel, and goofing around in the arcade, where they play numerous games of Mortal Kombat 2. In fact, the two are so engaged in their work that they fail to notice the presence of an unaccounted for infected tentacles spreading across the ground. Riley must have been living in the mall for quite some time, considering the presence of a sleeping bag and a slew of other things in the rear. Ellie's pleasant attitude quickly goes sour when she discovers a slew of improvised explosives in the rear. Ellie realizes Riley has been lying to her at this point. Riley confesses that the Fireflies actually sent her to the mall. It's merely a temporary position since she'll be transferred to the Atlantic QZ in the morning. Riley, on the other hand, wants Ellie to accompany her because it is her last night in Boston. Riley's entire farce in the mall was her method of saying goodbye. Ellie and Riley wind up dancing around on counters while wearing masks. However, we see something truly astonishing. It attacks Riley and Ellie, causing Ellie to stab it in the head. Unfortunately, Ellie is bitten as a result, and Riley also has a cut on her hand. We return to the present as the couple weighs their options and decides what to do. Ellie stitches Joel up and tries everything she can to heal him. He is, however, weakening and need antibiotics. The picture then abruptly shifts to a religious cult meeting in a frozen, abandoned village. They're led in by David, who informs a tearful girl that the earth is too hard to bury her deceased father and that they'll have to wait until spring. Following the sermon, David speaks to James outdoors, who has reservations about what they're doing and is concerned about their limited finances. The previous 6 months have been difficult for everyone, but for the time being, the two are on the same page about what they're doing. Meanwhile, Ellie chooses to go rifle hunting. She does discover and shot a deer, but it flees. A trickle of blood goes to its decomposing body, as well as David and James. Ellie tracks them down and holds them at gunpoint. She strikes a bargain, requesting medication for Joel in exchange for half the deer. David and Ellie are alone while James goes to collect the medication. She points a pistol at him as they go inside a shelter. David gradually breaks through Ellie's shields, pointing her that he was never religious and that he used to be a teacher. Ellie's surprise gives way to instinct as James moves back and outnumbers her. David orders James to hand over the drugs and pledges his protection. Ellie refuses and goes back to see Joel as soon as she can. David resolves to bring Joel and Ellie to justice, and that evening he updates the gang on their plans. He does not, however, want Ellie slain. Ellie finds herself in over her head when David, James, and a slew of other guards arrive to find the couple in their frozen village. Ellie leads them away, leaving Joel alone in the garage. Ellie is knocked from her horse and lands hard on the ground, so she doesn't travel very far. While the other men decide to go door to door, David picks up Ellie and flees. Joel is no longer laying about when one of the guys goes down to the basement and he blindsides him, choking him out. Joel, now fully recovered, tortures the guys for information in order to locate Ellie. Ellie awakens to find herself back in the village, but confined in a cage. As she attempts to get away, she finds a severed ear and blood spatters on the floor. It is at this point that she realizes David and the others are cannibals. Ellie lulls him into a false feeling of security before breaking David's finger and biting him. Ellie gets a cracked nose as a result of her misfortune, but she is ultimately seized and carried out. As she's lying down on a table, she mentions that she's infected, and the small delay is enough for her to break free and dash through the kitchen and into the restaurant, murdering James on the way. Ellie grabs a kitchen knife and hides beneath the bar as a fire breaks out in the kitchen. She bides her time and stabs David in the side. David David, on the other hand, tosses her down, but Ellie gets a knife and stabs him repeatedly. Joel enters and provides some words of support before going away with her. The image then switches to Ellie's mother fleeing through an abandoned house, desperate for salvation. She's extremely pregnant, and as she scrambles up the stairs, her water bursts. An unusual sight arises with a knife in hand and infected him. Anyway, Anna manages to kill the infected while giving birth, but she is scratched in the following struggle, which means she'll transform. She makes the most of the few precious minutes she has with her baby, hugging her kid and reassuring her daughter, Ellie, that she's tough. As the day gives way to darkness, Marlene and her Firefly pals break into the house and discover Anna with her baby. She notices her scratch as well. Anna turns Ellie over to Marlene, instructing her to bring the kid to Boston with her. As Ellie is being let out of the room, a decision is made, and Anna is shot in the head. In the present, Ellie is aloof and restrained as a result of what occurred with David. The couple is on their way to the hospital, but first they decide to climb an abandoned tower to gain a better viewpoint and lay of the land. Ellie is propelled up, dropping a ladder for Joel before spotting something and racing away, telling Joel he must follow. It appears to be a giraffe. Ellie grins and feeds the giraffe, which is one of the game's greatest sequences. Joel and Ellie observe the giraffe's return to its herd before Joel decides what to do next. He is anxious and even advises that they return home. There's no halfway with this, Ellie adds. We finish up what we started. As the two continue their search towards the hospital, Joel admits at an ancient, abandoned army post that he had given up in the past and that Ellie was the only thing that kept him going. It's a very lovely conversation, and as the two continue on, with Ellie pulling out her pun book again, they come closer to the hospital. There is, however, an issue. Soldiers arrive, tossing a grenade and seizing Joel and Ellie. Joel is knocked unconscious and taken to the hospital, where Marlene is waiting for him. She discloses the dreadful truth: Ellie is preparing for surgery. Because cordyceps develops in the brain, surgery would need Ellie's death in order to provide a treatment. That is too much for Joel, and when he is escorted out to the roadway by two armed guards, Joel takes advantage of the situation and murders both men on the stairway. The sound design masterfully matches the mayhem and damage as a firefight develops. Joel swoops down the halls, shooting troops left and right in his desperate search for Ellie. Joel arrives at the operating room and murders the surgeon, causing his two helpers to disconnect Ellie and abandon her. Joel grabs her and leads her down to the parking lot, where Marlene is waiting for them. Joel refuses to do the right thing and save Ellie, despite her pleas. Instead, he drives Ellie out of the hospital. Ellie regains consciousness on the journey, and Joel lies to her, stating that there are many others who are immune like her. He mentions raiders arriving and attacking the hospital, but we all know it's Joel. Further flashbacks suggest that he also shot Marlene to prevent her from following Ellie. Joel and Ellie, on the other hand, drive all night before landing in Wyoming. They have a 5-hour journey ahead of them, so they leave and overlook their hamlet. Before they proceed, Ellie questions Joel about what happened. Joel promises to Ellie that everything he's told her about the Fireflies and raiders is real. Ellie mulls over the words before responding, "Okay, thanks for watching. If you want to see more of our content, make sure to subscribe. Till then, see you on the next one."